A very good morning, students. Welcome back to online lecture on Java programming course. In our previous session, we have started the concept of classes and objects. And in today's session, we will move ahead and we will see what concepts we need to discuss. So, yes, introduction to classes. We said classes are the basis for Java programming. So whatever concepts we try to implement, whatever OOPS concepts we try to implement in Java programming, the basis for all those OOPS concepts is your class only. The class is the fundamental building block of your Java programming, we can say. Okay. So with the help of that class only, we are going to create the object, and that object is the real-time instance of the class. So all these definitions, all these examples we have seen, we discussed in our previous session. Okay, we have also seen how with the help of a single class we can create multiple objects, and how that multiple objects can hold different instances, different instance members. Okay, so for those instance members, how we can assign different values, and all those things with the help of programming examples I have shown you. Okay, the class fundamentals we discussed, the general form of a class we discussed. So in every class we said we are going to have two things. One is the data members, and other one is the data members, or in short we can call them as data, only data. And the next thing, we are going to have methods. Okay, so methods and data, that is nothing but your instance variables. Inside a class we'll be having instance variables and the methods. The reason for calling them as instance variables, in the sense, because they are different from object to object, and they will exist only at the time of object creation, and till the object get destroyed, till that time span only the objects will exist. Sorry, the instance variable will exist. So that's the reason we are calling them as instance variables. Two reasons: because they are different from object to object. So even if you are creating two objects of the same class, these instance variables will differ. Okay, the first object scope will be entirely different, and the second object scope will be entirely different. Their memory location, their everything is entirely different. So that's the reason we are calling these variables, whatever we declare inside the class, as instance variables. And the other one, whatever logic you want to put inside the class, with the help of methods we need to do. And we said the method logic, the method you have to put completely within the class itself. There is no scope of declaring the method inside the class and defining the method outside the class, like in your C++ language. There is no such scope. Okay, there are some provisions that we will discuss afterwards. So for now, whatever explanation I am giving, only that thing you remember. See, because many students, they are commenting, and many students, they are posing some questions to me in my personal WhatsApp, that sir, we can do in this way, we can do in that way, this is like this is like. Of course, Java is an ocean, and whatever time limit we have over here, whatever discussion we are doing, it is limited. It is very limited. I cannot, I mean, whatever you are expecting, whatever knowledge you are gaining from internet is completely appreciable. I'm not saying you are doing the wrong thing. I'm not saying you are going in a wrong way. Just be patient. Okay, I cannot randomly pick the concept, and I cannot deliver the lecture on that randomly picked topic, isn't it? I have to go according to your course curriculum. That's what we are doing over here. Many people are, I mean, giving the example of inner classes. Many people are giving the examples for interfaces, packages. Of course, it is very good that you have the knowledge of all these things. I really appreciate. If you have done something really nice, it will be good for you only. Okay, so we also going to discuss all those things in our regular classes. We also going, because not all the students will have that kind of enthusiasm. We need to motivate them as well, and we need to move in a proper way according to your curriculum, university curriculum, what I mean to say. Okay, so quickly, so inside a class we can have instance variables as well as the methods. Okay, so a simple class definition we have seen with only instance variables in our previous class, and we have for this class we have created different objects. Like first we have created one object, and we have seen with that object how we can initialize these instance variables using the dot operator, isn't it? Object name dot instance variable equals to some value, like that we have initialized all these three instance variables inside the box class, and using these instance variables we calculated the volume of the box. That also we have seen, and we using the println statement, using the output statement, we have printed the volume of the first object on the output screen. Then we have advanced in the program, in that same program, and we have created the second object, mybox2. Then using that mybox2 object, again we have initialized all these instance variables. And when we have initialized the instance variables of mybox2, we noticed that whatever instance variables we had inside mybox1, they are unchanged. They are completely holding their previous values only. That's the reason I said whatever instance variables we were having inside mybox1, they are different, and whatever instance variables we were having inside mybox2, they are different. Two instances, two objects, they are completely different. Okay, so again we calculated the volume of mybox2, and we printed that volume as well on the output screen, and we have noticed, we have done the observation over there. Okay, so yes, we said the object creation, it is a two-step process. In the first step we create the reference to the class. I mean we create the reference to the class, that is nothing but object reference, and in the second step we initialize the memory to it, isn't it? We assign the memory to it, we allocate the memory to it. So instead of doing that two steps separately, we can even write the two steps inside a single statement. So over here you can see in the first step we are creating, or we are declaring the reference to the object, and here we are allocating the memory to the object. But the both the things you can do inside a single statement as well in this way. Class name followed by the reference name, that is nothing but object name, then new keyword, then the box constructor. This is constructor of a class. Very soon we'll discuss about the constructor as well. Okay, so this also we have seen. Then examples we have seen. So we need to have a closer look at the new operator. Okay, how this new operator will work, we need to have a closer look at it. So the new operator, it dynamically allocates the memory for an object. So whatever object we are creating, to allocate the memory for that object dynamically, we are using the new operator. Okay, so it has the general form. So whatever reference, this is class variable, is nothing but your reference object name. Okay, class variable equals to new operator followed by the class name of. When you are writing like this, it will become a constructor call. We are very much familiar about this one because we did this many times in your CPP, C++. Constructor call. Okay, class variable, that is nothing but object reference, equals to new operator and then the class name of, that is constructor call. So in this way, this new operator, what it will do, it will allocate the memory to this class variable. Okay, so that discussion, I mean that I have elaborated over here how that thing will happen. So let us take the example of our box class, and using that box class we are creating the object reference mybox. So when you have not done the memory allocation to that mybox, because at this stage, after this statement, I mean we said object creation, it can be of two steps. Okay, after the first step, what exactly happens to your object reference means, your object reference, it will get some memory from the stack, and that memory will not point anywhere. will not point anywhere. It is simply null. Null means nothing. It is not going to have anything. Remember this one. It is very, very important. Okay. When you are creating the class reference variable, object reference, and you are not allocating the memory to it, so it is basically, when you don't have the new operator, this my box will also take memory. When you are creating a variable, it is nothing but it takes memory. So from where it takes this memory? From the stack. This is your stack area. From the stack. And inside that stack, as we have not allocated any memory. Allocating the memory in the sense from the heap we will do. And heap is an bulk of memory, unlimited memory. But whereas stack, it is limited memory. Hopefully you understood. So this my box, it is existing in the stack, and when you have created this reference variable, it is not allocated with any memory, so its content will be null, nothing. But when you have allocated the memory using new, so over here you can see this is class reference variable, my box, class reference variable or object reference, object name in short. Then object name equals to new operator, then constructor call. What this constructor call will do, it will take the memory from the heap. It will take the memory from the heap. How much memory it will take? Whatever members you have declared inside the class, whatever members you have declared inside the class, it will take the memory which should be sufficient to hold all those members. Okay, because the class is the template for the object creation. Class is the template for object creation. So when it creates the object, how much memory it will take, how much space it will take the space sufficient to accommodate that class template. It will take the memory sufficient to accommodate that class requirement. So whatever members you have declared inside that class, the constructor call or the new operator will take sufficient memory to hold that object. Hopefully you understood. So over here inside our class, box class, we have only width, height and depth variable, and it is taking the memory sufficient to hold all those things. So this is your box object. This is your box object pointed by this object reference, my box. Hopefully you understood. This is exactly what happens when you create an object of a particular class. Hopefully you understood. So the next thing, assigning object reference variable. So in our previous discussion, we have created an object mybox1, and we have assigned some memory to that mybox1. So then we have created mybox2, and we have assigned separate memory to that mybox2. But if you want your second object reference should also point the first object only, that also you can do simply by going with this. So don't allocate the memory for the second object reference using the new operator. So whatever memory you have assigned to the first object, assign that same memory to the second object as well. So now what will happen? You will have two references, two objects pointing the same object reference, same object pointing the same memory location in the heap. So now in this case, whatever changes you do to this width, height, depth variables using B1, that also affect B2. Yani whatever changes you are doing using B1, you are doing to the same memory location where B2 is pointing. This we will practice. Inside your Edit Plus, open a program, new, normal text, save this program. Name I want to give. What exactly we are practicing over here? So where we have to go? We have to go to the desktop, right? Because on the desktop only we have our folder CSE and IT. Here we need to save our document, Java document. So what we are practicing now? Objects we are practicing. So clones, right? Clone object, clone obj dot cpp Java. Okay, hit the enter key, program got saved. Now you write class. What is our class name? Clone obj. Okay, inside this class, yes, this clone obj, you save the program. I must save this program. Is it possible here? Not. So we need to go to save as. Save as. Yeah, instead of clone obj demo dot java. Okay, clone obj demo dot java. Now save this. So this class, inside this we need to put yes, box class only we have to take. This is my box class we are doing. Inside it double, isn't it? All variables of type double we have taken. Double width, then declare another variable double height, then double depth. Like this we have declared different variables. So next write your class clone obj demo. Clone obj demo. So inside it we need to put the our main method, public static void main of string arguments of. Okay, so yeah, in this we need to create the object of first object I want to create. So that is box b1. Okay, we'll go according to our diagram, this one. Okay, box b1 equals to new box of. So first object is created. Okay, create another object box b2. Don't allocate the memory, rather initialize with b1. So now what will happen? The same thing will happen. b1 and b2 both are pointing to only one object, only one memory location. So now what I will do, I will initialize this height, width and depth using b1, and I will calculate the volume using b2, and we'll try to print that volume, and we'll try to print the variables as well. So first let's just go with initialization b1 dot what is that, width. b1 dot width equals to 6 units. Then b1 dot height equals to some 2 units. Okay, then b1 dot depth equals to some 2 units again, or 3 units. Okay, so then calculate volume, double volume equals to using b2 dot width, because it is also pointing the same, multiplied with b2 dot height multiplied with b2 dot depth. Okay, like this. Then system dot out dot println of volume of the box, okay. So what is that? Volume of the box plus volume. We just concatenate the variable content with string content. Concatenation we'll do with plus operator. Okay, so about this plus operator I think we have some discussion. We'll do that, we'll do over there. Next is I want to print the dimensions, that is system dot out dot println of dimensions of the box. Okay, so dimensions in the sense width, height, depth. Okay, all those things we need to print. So how we can? So first I will print the width. So with the help of b2, because we initialized using b1 and now using b2 I will print, and we will see. Okay, so that is b2 dot width. We are printing the width value. Okay, then concatenate with some space, then concatenation b2 dot height, again concatenate with some space, again print the last value, that is b2 dot depth, put the semicolon at the end. That's it. Hope you understood. Here what exactly we have done, we printed all the dimensions of the box like height, width, depth using b2 object. Okay, we initialized using b1 object, we calculated the volume using b2 object, and we printed the dimensions using b2 object only. So now save this thing. then tools, compile. Yes, there is some error. Okay, so we need to close that string properly. We have not closed. Okay, so over here itself, the parenthesis which I started over here, I have not ended. Here we need to end the parenthesis. Save it, saved. Now tools, compile. Yes, it is successful. Then tools, run. See over here. Yes, in our first case, I have initialized all my dimensions like width, height, depth, instance variables of box class with b1 object. Okay, so 623 I have initialized. Then I calculated the volume using b2 because b2 is also pointing b1 memory location only. So now we have two names, clone name, two names for the same memory location. Okay, same memory location. So whatever changes you have done to that memory locations using b1 object, that indirectly changes b2 also. So using b2, if I calculate 6 2 is 12, 12 3 is 36. So I got the volume as 36. Why I got the volume as 36 when I'm using b2? In the sense, whatever changes b1 has made, those changes are affecting b2. Okay, then dimensions of the box I'm printing using b2 object. So same thing we are getting. As you can see, the height we are getting width we are getting 6.0, height we are getting 2.0, and depth we are getting 3.0. Okay, like this. Okay, hopefully you understood. So this phenomenon I have explained. So let us assume this thing to explain. Let us assume I don't want that link to exist after some point. Here I made my b2 as b1. So now what I want, here you go again, I want to disconnect this one. Okay, of course b1 has initialized, then b2 has accessed. Now I want to disconnect this link. How we can do that disconnection? Simply make b1 as null. Okay, b1 equals to null. Then what will happen? b1 will not point anywhere. So b1 will not point the same memory location as b2 is pointing. Okay, so that disconnection simply we can do in that way. We will try to get that in our program. I think basically whenever you do the such type of disconnection, and after the disconnection if you try to access the memory location, your Java will not allow. But let us just see what will happen. So what I am doing, b1 equals to null. I am disconnecting b1 from that memory location. So now use the same thing, same printf statement, println statement. Use this same println statement and change all the variables. Now we are accessing the box dimensions with b1. b1 width, b1 height, and b1 depth. But not here. We need to put after the disconnection, isn't it? So here we are doing the disconnection. So after this we need to put. Okay. Hope you understood this one. Okay. After we are doing the disconnection, we are trying to access the height, width, and depth. We will see what will happen. Either we will get garbage value or your compiler will not allow. What will happen? We will see. Compile. See, your compiler is not allowing. Okay, variable null. Once the variable is null, you cannot access those things. Capital null, not small null, you need to put. Yeah, it is allowing, but we will see what values we will get. Okay, it is a runtime exception basically. It is a runtime exception, null pointer exception, as you can see over here. Because your box, b1, it is pointing to null, and using that null pointer you are trying to access the width, height, and depth. So you are getting a runtime exception. So till this point no error. Till this point no error. So you are as Java is interpreted programming language. So first it is printing this one, then it is printing this one. Then you are when you are trying to access the same instance variables with the help of B1 object, then you are getting runtime exception. Okay, exception in thread main java.lang.null pointer exception. About exceptions we'll discuss. Okay, so yeah, that type of exception, that type of error we are getting, a runtime error we are getting. Hopefully you understood. So the next thing, introduction to methods. So how we can put methods inside the class. So classes usually consist of two things, that is instance variables and methods. So far we had the discussion on how we can include instance variables inside a class and how we can access these instance variables with the help of class reference variable, object reference variable. All those things we have done. Now we will see how we can include a method inside a class. Okay, so a method is a set of statements. Basically, what is a method? A function, it is a set of statements, okay, or logic encoded as a single unit. So set of statements means this set of statements, why we are making these set of statements? To solve some particular logic only, isn't it? So a method is a set of statements or logic encoded as a single unit. Okay, this method you can keep inside a class, and the general form to keep a method inside a class is, first you need to specify the return type of that method. Okay, return type, then name of the method, then parameter list. Parameter list is nothing but input to that method. Okay, then between the what we call curly brackets, between the method body, you can put all the statements which are which you want to put inside the method. Okay, as a method body you can keep. Hopefully you understood the general form. The return type it will have, the method name it will have, the parameter list it will have, and the method body it will have. It is same like your function in other programming languages, your C, C++ programming languages. Okay, adding a method to the box class. So already we have our box class working. So to that box class only, I will try to add one method with the name volume. Okay, so we have calculated volume inside the main method. I don't want the volume to be calculated inside the main method. I will calculate the volume as part of the class declaration itself, as part of the class template itself. So that we will do over here. So we will see different examples on that one. So how we can add a method to a class, how we can return a value, and adding method that takes parameters. These three things we will practice, and after that, hopefully if time is there, we will try to go for constructors as well. Okay, so quickly go to your edit plus. So here I want to add a method. So how I can add? So first I will make the method as void method. Void volume of. I will not put any parameters to this one. Okay, first let's just do like this. Then inside it, what we do, will calculate the volume. So that is double volume variable equals to width. We will see how it will act. DTH width multiplied with height multiplied with depth. Okay, so like this we have calculated. Now as the method is not returning anything, so here only I am printing println of what is volume of the box, volume of the box colon yes plus volume, like this. At the end put the semicolon. That's it. We have calculated the volume and we have printed the volume as well. So next thing, inside this, the same thing, we have to create the object. This thing I don't want now. I don't want any clone to my object. So I have created only one object, that is B1 object. Okay, so yes, after creating B1 object, what I have done, B1 dot width some value, B1 dot height some value, B1 dot depth some value I have initialized. So now what I have to do, I have to no need to calculate the volume over here. Okay, the function itself is, I mean the method itself, the class inside that class we have a method like volume. The method, the volume method itself calculating the volume and printing the volume. So now what I have to do, b1 dot volume, because the method volume, it is a part of your what? It is a part of your class itself. It is a part of your class itself. So inside that class only we are calculating the volume. So here we just initialized all the variables, instance variables, and we are calling the method which is part of your class. So when you are calling that method, what will happen? Ultimately this method will be invoked with void as return type. Then yes, it will calculate the volume over here using that same width, height and depth, and then it will print the volume on output screen. We'll see what output we will get for this program. So tools, compile. Yes, it is compiled successfully. So now execute. Over here you can see it is printing volume of the box as 36. Why 36? In the sense because width was initialized to 6, height was initialized to 2, and depth was initialized to 3 units. So if you multiply these 3, you will get 36. 36 units cube we are getting. Okay, so hopefully you understood. So the next thing, the first thing is over. Adding method we successfully practiced. Adding method to a class we successfully practiced. Okay, now returning a value from the method. Okay, returning a value from the method. Returning a value from the method in the sense the method return type should not be what? Void. So here we made our method return type as void. So immediately change that return type to double, because my method will return double value. So after calculating the volume, what you have to do? You have to return that volume. After calculating the volume, return that volume. So remove this one. So here return, return volume. That's it. So that volume, when the volume method will return the volume, we need to initialize that one with some variable, isn't it? Temp. Okay. So or else, yeah, here temp only. Or you can make it as main volume, because inside main this we are doing, right? So main volume is equals to b1 dot volume. So next thing, we need to print over here, because the volume method is not doing that one. It is simply returning. It is not printing. So we need to print system dot out dot println of volume of the box colon plus main volume. Like this, we can even return values. At most, how many values we can return? Only one value. Remember this one. From a method, we can return at most one value only. If you want to return more than one value, there are other ways. Like we have to go for call by reference mechanism. Okay, that also we will discuss very soon. Probably in our next lecture only. Okay, so yes, we are returning values from methods. Inside a class, we are returning values from methods. Remember this one. So when the method, volume method is returning volume, calculated volume, we need to receive that volume inside some variable. That some variable, the main volume variable. In that variable, whatever value the volume method will return, will receive inside main volume. And that main volume we are printing over here. Hopefully you understood. Save this and compile. Successful. Then run. As you can see, same output we are getting. Previously we print the volume from the volume method only, but now we are doing it from the main method by returning from the volume method and printing inside the main method. So the third type of thing, the second is also completed. Okay, returning a value is also over. Okay, next is adding a method that takes parameters. So now what I don't want to initialize these values over here. I don't want to initialize these values over here. Rather, what I will do, I will pass these values to my volume method. To my volume method. How come? Yes, over here what I have to do, inside it, I need to put double D Okay, some temporary variables, some formal parameters we need to declare. Double D, double H, and double D. No, W. So, or else you come in the sequential order. It is not compulsory, but just for our understanding, I am doing like this. Okay. So, width, height, and depth. Next thing what I have to do, I have to initialize my instance variables with the help of these formal parameters. Instance variables like width will become W, then height will become H, then depth will become D. After this, calculate the volume and return the volume. So function, I mean method with parameters. So now over here what I have to do, instead of initializing like this, I need to pass these values over here. Okay, the actual values 6 comma 2 comma 3, like this I need to pass the actual values. I think it will show some error, we will see. Okay, maybe this will be considered as integers or something, we will see. If any typecast error we will, any type mismatch error we will get, we need to make these things as double. Okay, we will see how it will give response. Same thing, instead of doing the initialization inside my main method, I am passing the parameters to my volume method, and I'm receiving those actual parameters into formal parameters W, H, and D, and using those formal parameters I'm initializing my instance variables like width, height, and depth. After initializing instance variables, I'm calculating the volume and I'm returning the volume from this volume method. Whatever volume I'm returning from the volume method, I'm receiving inside the main method, inside main volume variable, or yeah, the same thing I'm printing in my out.println statement, SOP statement. See, SOP, I will call it as SOP, system.out.println. Okay, SOP statement. So next thing, compile it. Yes, no error. So it is doing the conversion automatically. So next thing, run. So you got 36 only. Okay. So every time 36, you may be getting confused that every time it is giving the same output. So I will make this as 4. So now 4 2s 8 3s 24. We need to get 24. Compile it. Compilation successful. Then run it. As you can see, it is giving 24 now. Hopefully you understood. So this is about the adding method to box class we have seen, adding methods in Java to class we have seen, returning values from a method we have seen, passing parameters to a method we have seen. 3 things we have completed. Okay, everything I have shown with the help of practical examples. Okay, so you need to remember this one, you need to follow this one, because without Java no software engineer, believe me. Without Java no software engineer, nothing, no computer science. Even if you complete computer science and if you don't have the knowledge of Java, it is useless. Okay, ultimately whatever domain you select, whatever platform you select, you need to have the knowledge of Java, because it is very similar to many other programming languages. Nowadays, of course, Python, R programming, they are the booming ones, but basics also important, your academics also important. Okay, so this is 3 different examples related to your methods we have discussed. Now a specialized method we need to discuss. So let's just check the time, how much it is. Okay, 40 minutes. So I will give only the explanation on constructor, and problems related to these constructors we will see in our next session, hopefully. See, this constructor, when we are saying, it is also a method inside your Java class. It is also a method, but I cannot say it is a simple method. It is a specialized method. It will have some special features. It will have some special characteristics. It will have some special properties. Okay, that's the reason a special name to it, constructor. Hopefully you understood. So when I'm saying it is a special type of method. All the properties whatever a method will have, it will have. Okay, but there are some special cases, but there are some special features which also this constructor will possess, this constructor will have. Okay, so one of the basic advantage of having constructors is to initialize the objects. Just now we have seen whenever we are allocating the memory for an object, we are calling the constructor of that class, isn't it? Whenever we are allocating the memory for an object, we are calling the constructor. We have not mentioned the constructor inside the class, inside our class, but how come when you are calling the constructor, who is giving response? If you have not defined it, if you have not mentioned it within the class. See, Java, when executes its programs, when executes its classes, when it creates the objects for the classes, it will add a default constructor. A constructor without any statements, a constructor without any parameters, a constructor without any return type. We call it as a default constructor. Okay, generally no constructor will have the return type. It is a special feature given to the constructor. Constructor will not have any kind of return value. It is not possible to return a value from a constructor. Okay, so default constructor in the sense, just for the box class I will give. So over here, box followed by two parentheses, open bracket, close bracket. That's it. No statements, nothing. This is the default constructor for the box class. And when you are creating the objects for box class, and if you are not having any constructor inside the box class, this constructor, this default constructor will give the response. Okay, so what is the functionality of default constructor? It has to allocate the memory for the objects created for that class. Hopefully you understood. So Java allows objects to initialize themselves when they are created. Okay, this automatic initialization is performed through the use of a constructor. So the constructor is responsible for allocating or initializing the objects of any particular class. Okay, a constructor initializes an object immediately upon creation. So in the creation syntax only we have the constructor call. So immediately upon creation, what will happen? The constructor will allocate the memory for that object. Okay, it will initialize that object. So it has the same name as the class name in which it resides and is syntactically similar to a method. We are saying similar, we are not saying same. The reason, because it will have some special properties as well. Because of that reason, we are not saying same, rather we are saying similar. Okay, so your constructor name must be same like your class name. It is one of the special property. There is no such condition for your normal method, isn't it? Your normal method, it can have any kind of name, any kind of identifier. But when we are talking about a constructor, its name must be same like your class name. It is a special feature, one of the special feature. Hopefully you understood. Then once defined, the constructor is automatically called immediately after the object is created before the new operator completes. Yes, the constructor call where we are mentioning, syntactically where we are mentioning after the new call, after the new operator. So it will call immediately after the new operator and it will allocates the memory, or it will creates the object before the new operator completes its operation. Okay, so the parentheses are needed after the class name to call the constructor for that class, because obviously we said it is a special type of method. So when we are saying method, set of parentheses and followed by a semicolon, it must be required, isn't it? Okay, when we do not explicitly define a constructor, yeah, this particular statement I have explained before. Okay, when I gave this one, I explained that one. When we are not specifically defining any constructor, see that, read that point. When we do not explicitly define a constructor for a class, then Java creates a default constructor. It is a very, very, very important question for 2 marks. Many times, just go to your previous year university question papers and scrutinize, you will find this question. What is a default constructor? Okay. So when we don't specify any of the constructor specifically inside our class, then what will happen? Then Java will automatically creates a default constructor for that class. The default constructor automatically initializes all the instance variables to zeros. So let us assume that you have some instance variables inside the class. So if you don't initialize any of the variables, any of the instance variables with the help of this class, with the help of this constructor, then what the default constructor will do? The default constructor will initialize all the instance variables to zeros. Remember this one. So okay, it is almost 45 minutes. So then we have the example on constructor demonstration, how the constructor will work, how the constructor will allocate the memory for an object. Using constructor, how we can initialize the instance variables. Then we have the concept of parameterized constructor. What exactly is a parameterized constructor? How this parameterized constructor will work? All these things we will discuss in our next session. Till that time, all the best for your coming internals. Hopefully I will give on Monday, I mean today by evening I will give some important assignment questions from the first unit. So probably I'm planning like 5 SAQs and 5 LAQ, 5 SAQs and 3 LAQs, because it is too much if I give 5 LAQs. So 3 LAQs and 5 SAQs from the first unit, for which you need to complete the assignment, and there will be a deadline imposed by the department, and before the deadline only you have to submit the assignment to get the marks, assignment marks. Okay, I gave many provisions that attendance is one thing, assignment is another thing, and I'm also planning some projects, because it is already we are discussing some advanced high level programming language. So definitely we need to do some project works in this one. Simply going discussing the theory concepts without any practical knowledge, it is completely useless. So after completion of this subject, definitely I'm expecting some nice projects from your side. So whoever is interested, they can give your names to your CR, and ultimately that will be an added advantage. Because of some reason, if you are missing something, then that added advantage will help you a lot. Hopefully you understood. You will utilize this opportunity. Okay, and after every class, whatever questions I'm imposing as an assignment, that also you have to complete, okay, in the Google form. Okay, so thank you very much, students.